Welcome my friends back to Marvel Snap, where we are playing Bust or Must with Ajax. He is going to be the Gilgamesh effect of the Affliction decks, and while the card art has not yet updated from my databases, he is releasing as a 5/7 ongoing. +1 power for each card in play afflicted with negative power. Is this effect going to be good enough to bring about a meta mainstay of the Affliction deck? Should you be investing keys in this cash? What kind of decks can we test Ajax in? Stay tuned for the end of the video. We're going to be delivering all of our verdicts, but first, breaking down this ability. This is, as I said, the embrace of the full Affliction deck. It is in preparation of getting Cassandra Nova. She is going to make that Ajax deck a little bit better, and we've saw a tiny blip of the ongoing Affliction with US Agent, Man-Thing, and some really interesting ongoing effects to force our opponents to play into what would be detrimental positions for them. Ajax is going to allow that deck to now have a chance to go tall, which was something it was missing before, and I am actually incredibly excited to be testing this guy out. First up, where are his best friends going to lie? And besto friendo is the Hazmat, because remember, that ability is per card afflicted, not per value of affliction. US Agent, Man-Thing here are taking away large chunks of power from the specific cards they are able to hit, but Hazmat blankets the entire board in affliction, even our own cards, which Ajax is going to be able to use to fuel himself up to new heights. You're going to be able to get all of those points that Hazmat took off back on the Ajax, and so really all you need is a late game Hazmat to really make Ajax pop. Luke Cage is here because I think he has to be run in a deck that is using any of these other cards. I think Ajax has to be run in decks running these other cards, but Luke and Ajax actually are antagonistic toward each other. Every card that Luke prevents on your side of the board from having an affliction applied to it is going to make Ajax a little bit weaker. And of course, in the case of US Agent and Man-Thing, you are still coming out ultimately ahead in terms of your total power. And I think that the Hazmat flip just against the opposing cards, as we remember that Ajax is a 5 power, he only has to hit a couple targets to really be in value town. And then he also has all the suite of synergies of other ongoing multiplicative effects. We can be in a really satisfying place with just those cards being able to hit the board. As we extrapolate, we have the ongoing Affliction kind of suite of synergies. We saw a hybrid deck here do fairly well just a few seasons ago, rocking the Spectrum and Mystique specifically. I don't believe that Onslaught saw too much play there, but Ajax, of course, as an ongoing effect, could go super tall with an Onslaught. And the idea of using Onslaught actually alongside US Agent and Man-Thing really has me tickled. In a position where they're hitting a couple targets and then Onslaught can make things just so nasty for an opponent, I definitely want to be testing that out here as we get our hands on Ajax. The final deck that has always had Affliction synergies, though has never really come into its own, is the High Evo Affliction, Cyclops, The Thing, Wasp, A-Bomb. All of these are able to gain either the Affliction effect or another benefit, having A-Bomb and Ajax slamming to the board, being able to go tall while you have worn your opponent out. Sounds really cool. And then, of course, we have some old era mainstays in the Scorpion and the Spider-Woman cards that have been in the game for so long. Scorpion, of course, has towed the line of just being strong enough to play at all times, and Spider-Woman, frankly, has the stat line to do it, and maybe this is finally the synergy package to make her playable. Sliding right along, the only trap card I really saw of a synergy is this Typhoid Mary. Yes, you can play Typhoid Mary and then you can get the value of her debuffs taken back onto Ajax in terms of like an individual power spike, but I just don't see that this is where we want to be playing. We could in fact run Typhoid Mary in any kind of deck that we're using Luke in to be able to kind of keep our powers buffeted up, but then we're not getting that power over to Ajax. A lot of these synergies are a little bit tenuous, and the decks are definitely off meta that we are referencing, so Typhoid Mary is the one that I saw as the weakest link here in connection to Ajax. And then we have the enemies. Hey, Luke making another appearance. Yeah, if the opponent plays Luke, this has always been the Achilles heel of the deck. Luke will single-handedly remove the Affliction deck from having any kind of functional game plan. Now, yes, the Affliction deck could run Rogue or Enchantress itself to be able to take out an opposing Luke, and it might have to because he is so effective at just nullifying what that deck wants to do. But if Luke is getting played on the final turn, then there's not much for it. Remember, Ajax is ongoing, so he's not an on reveal. He's not able to capitalize on a certain specific board state in the mid game. He's going to be affected by everything through to the end game, which is where that opponent is going to be dropping the Luke Cage and then saying goodbye to all the value that you had tried to generate for yourself in terms of debuffing their cards. Rogue and Enchantress, quite nasty here, as we see a heavy reliance on ongoing effects, especially the Rogue against the Ajax, because his effect is reciprocal, or at least it keys off of afflicted cards on both sides. So if they Rogue us, they're going to get a lot of value, even though they don't have other synergies with the Affliction. We've applied them, and then they'll still get a benefit if they steal the effect. Enchantress shutting everything down. Super Scroll is fascinating to think about how he's going to really play out in the matchup, but he again could steal that reciprocal effect, or if it is a position where you've set up your Luke early with, say, nothing else that you really had to do, just worked out curve-wise, or you didn't have Ajax in your opening hand, so you set up the Luke to be able to block debuffs that you used, and then you got Ajax later, whatever the case may be. If they get the Super Scroll to then steal that Luke Cage effect again, it's lights out. And Shang, of course, is going to be able to knock over the Ajax. I fully expect, remember, he's at the 5-7 starting point. I fully expect that he's going to be at a position where Shang is going to be able to knock him over. And the moment of truth. Where is the verdict? Is Ajax a must or is he a bust? We've analyzed his friends, his enemies, his weaknesses, and the verdict is I'm going bust on Ajax in spite of his recent buff up to the 5-7, but I am giving him 2 keys. I'm way more excited for Ajax than I was about, say, Hydra Bob. I feel like he's right on the fringe, and Hazmat has been a little bit of a pocket niche deck for me personally, so I am still excited to be playing this card, but I don't see him really splashing in the meta just because it's Luke Cage. Luke Cage will remove what you want to do as a game plan entirely. Rogue as well is a huge attack against you, so I'm going to see some major challenges in overcoming those easy to incorporate counter cards for this guy to ever be a meta competitive kind of piece. Now, interesting fact here in the cache is amazing because it has Hawk. If you don't have Hawk, you have to go into the cache to be able to get Hawk. Hawk is a must-have for your collection, and honestly, he has been ever since his release. Like, this is one of the core cards now, outside of the initial set where like Death has had one of the longest reigns as a great card throughout all seasons. Hawk is right there and continues to cement his legacy as the perfect smash to the RSM decks. Beta Ray Bill, not so much. I personally like Beta Ray, so I'm giving him 2 keys. Maybe that's too generous. Maybe he only deserves 1. You'll have to let me know down in the comments, but we're going to roll over to the decks where I think Ajax can thrive, and this is where things get interesting to plan out how we're going to cook up our Affliction list. I have 2 decks to share with you guys here where I think that he is going to really thrive. Now, there could also be a kind of Hazmat Surfer that I've seen do pretty well, because I think Ajax can just key off of Hazmat to get a lot of value. But this right here is the shell of the ongoing Affliction list, and I think that Ajax is just naturally right at home. And what I love about this is how much control we have over our opponent with Goose and Jean Grey, forcing our opponent to play into positions that are really heavily favored to our side through the Man-Thing and US Agent. If we can trap them to playing to the Jean Grey location, where we are then applying this myriad of debuffs, we can get extra buffs to that location later on, even if we fill it up with value. We want to cap it off with the Mojo, the Ant-Man. We can buff later with the Claw, the Spectrum. Incredible. And then Goose, of course, is forcing the opponent to keep on playing just tiny things into Man-Thing's trap. Ajax going to be able to capitalize on top. We have the Hazmat Luke Cage here as well. Hazmat often not included, but here for Ajax I think must be. My question is is if Debris is going to do better than Mystique. Tune into the stream as we stream Ajax release on that Tuesday, YouTube or Twitch, to see which side of that we fall on. And then we switch gears into the Evo-Affliction, where I am showcasing the Debris, giving us those extra targets on the opponent's side to be able to make sure we're getting max value from our Affliction effects. I want Thing, Spider-Woman, Hazmat having as many targets as possible and as many different targets as possible, not just for their effect benefit, but also for Ajax's effect benefit. So a little bit of a clutter Affliction deck could do really well. I was playing around a little bit with Claw Dagger. Yes, I was. It didn't quite click. If it clicks on stream, I'll make a video and I will let you guys know. But here we are looking to be able to capitalize on the A-Bomb Slam, trying to get that guy cheap enough to be playable down at 1 cost. So final turn, Ajax A-Bomb can go crazy. The alternative would be if we could see... You have a plan B, of course. But if we do a lot of Afflictions early on, we could set up Ajax on 5 and then play, say, Hazmat A-Bomb on the final turn. You have a lot of different play patterns with this suite of 5-cost cards, and I think you're going to be able to get pretty reliable value out of the rest of the core here. I'm also going to be curious if Magic sneaks her way in to try and extend the game, see more cards get to the board, and then more debuffs being applied. So there is our full breakdown on Ajax. Are you guys excited for him? Is he going to be a pocket pick for a deck that you like, or are you going to pass here and save on for future weeks? You have to let me know in the comments down below, and also, of course, if I missed anything in my analysis. Love chatting everything snap down there. I'll see you guys in the streams. Till next time, thank you guys for watching. Keep on snapping.